Hello traders, Friday the 22nd of March. This is your Bitcoin update. Not a lot is happening. So we spent a little bit of time above your daily open here, coming back in to fill the gap. Single prints that we had from just this move down that we had yesterday. So we had the bounce yesterday, which is what we were expecting. Coming back in to fill what was that drop yesterday, and then just rolling over again here this morning. So we've basically done 1% above daily open, 1% below daily open, coming back down into your previous day lows here, which was just as the New York session was closing yesterday. So if I was to look for a trade today, it would just be sweep of previous day lows. That hasn't yet happened. I don't think it has. We're equal lows across the board right now, spot and perps. And yeah, that is basically the area that I would be looking for if I was to take like a scalp long or something. Short for earlier on would have been quite nice. You did have some confluence around there with anchored VWAPs and with moving averages and with just filling in the move that we had down, repairing the inefficiencies that we had down here. So yeah, it's just a little bit squeezed, isn't it? So we had the really nice move bounce off of monthly open. We're getting this retrace here, but actually if we do look at the order flow, it's just a massive drop in open interest through the whole move down. And we are getting some shorts opening at the lows, but it's nothing too major. But the fact that this whole move down has been on declining open interest doesn't really make me very bearish, to be honest. I think if we do sweep previous day lows, then that would be okay. And we are still in this bigger area of support. Okay, if we go out onto the 4 hour, this is really what you've got to be looking for at the moment. Not too bothered about getting chopped up on the lower time frames. The 4 hours is what's giving us the information, and we are just in this gap, this 4 hour gap, continuing to be there. So unless we see closes below from these 4 hour candles, everything still looks okay. If there is a 4 hour close below, then we would start to look at the possibility of a move down towards that 63, 62k area. Look at that, someone's just subscribed. Someone's just subscribed to the channel as I'm recording this. So hello, Bartosz. Anyway, yeah, if we look at what we have, I guess, in order to trade from, there is this weekly level which lines up with a NPOC. So if we do drop to 63,140, that would be a significant level for myself. We can also see that is when we started this impulse up. So we do have this little single print, this little gap here on the 30 minutes, around about that 63,600. I would imagine that if we are to lose this 4 hour block, we can continue down into this zone and look for a bounce there. Then obviously we do have the weekly lows. It is a Friday. You would expect some choppy price action today because of that. And yeah, that basically is just what we're seeing. When we look at the weekend lows that we had, which was where we had the opportunity to do this like inverse head and shoulders thing here and get a move up, this is, oh my god, I can't even control my mouse and keyboard. We're back at that level as well here, so we do have this second opportunity for this little cock and balls pattern to send us back up towards those previous week highs, but before, well, all-time highs basically being the previous week highs as well there. And then if it does start to get a bit messy, if that weekly daily MPOC doesn't hold, then we do have 58, 59k as the targets there. So yeah, realistically, those are the levels. Those are the main levels that we are looking at this morning, still holding this as support. There is confluence around these lower zones, where you do have the NPOCs and all of that kind of thing. It brings us into the golden pocket and so on. Yeah, we just have to see how it goes. It is a 50% retrace from this low to this high. I'm just repeating the same thing as I have been doing for a while. Moving averages, okay, squeezed. So we got our 200 4-hour moving average here, just below, again, coming into that confluence around about that 63k. It will be at 63 later. The 50 EMA acting as resistance, and it's a very, very similar thing on Ethereum, okay, even more squeezed here. So we are just bouncing between the 200 and the 50, and also the anchored VWAP. So if you go from anchored VWAP for the whole move up, and then if you take an anchored VWAP from the whole move down, it is just chopping around here, And whichever side of that breaks first, you would expect continuation in either direction. I would go for the higher time frame ones as being the strongest. This anchor VWAP's been around for longer, hasn't yet been tested, so therefore you would expect a good bounce off of that. And once again, the 200 4-hour EMA, first time that this has really been like tested, lost, flipped again. So we do have that inverse head and shoulders, inverse cock and balls kind of pattern here that could send this back up towards those highs. ETH BTC pairs getting a bounce as well. So altcoins are probably where the better opportunities are right now. There's, like I say, not a whole lot to update on with the rest of the market. The NASDAQ, as I may as well just touch upon the NASDAQ. So it had this move down yesterday, made a new all-time high yesterday, but has since reclaimed an important level of support. I do believe that we could see another move up towards the highs here. If you look at this downtrend, we've basically broken out of that, consolidating here, and we can be looking for a move up towards the Friday. Once you've had like a bullish week like this, especially on the NASDAQ, you would more or less imagine that you would see continuation on the Friday rather than like any major reversals happen on the Friday. So there may be some profit taking going on because it is at new all-time highs and we are going into the weekend soon. But more often than not, when you've had a trending week, you do tend to end the week like to the extremes of that trend. At least on legacy markets anyway. What else do we have to talk about? So we've done the open interest. We've spoken about that. It is what it is there. It's a bit of a drop down. The CVD is also not telling us anything. But I'm on a 10-second chart. So yeah, CVD is not going to be too great there. Spot's holding. Okay. Perps, CVD divergence. So we're equal lows, but obviously perps and spot together selling considerably more than the low that we put in yesterday. So it does seem to be like a bit more of a shakeout that we're seeing today. Certainly we are getting divergence from, so if you look at the low that we put in a couple of days ago compared to where we are now, we do have perpetuals, perps on lower delta right now. So we do have that CVD divergence forming between these two lows. That is something to take note of. And really the only other thing to mention is the ETF stuff, right? So we've had outflows the past few days. It was less yesterday, which kind of makes sense again, doesn't it? Because the really, really bearish stuff that we had from earlier on in the week has subsided. We're potentially making a higher low. Less outflows, GBTC not dumping on the market quite as much as it was, although there was still net outflows yesterday. It's only ever done 4 days of outflows before. Are we going to go into a 5th day of outflows? Probably. But if that turns green again, I'd imagine maybe next week it may turn green again. We have no control over it, so we don't really know. But yeah, then you'd see this natural like spot bid starting to come back in. So yeah, that's about everything I have to say today. Just be patient. Trade the higher time frames. Let's see which way this breaks. Altcoins are where probably the better opportunities are at. And if there is to be a higher low here, it looks reasonable to try and bid into this area because it's still a big drop down from what we'd seen previously. It still does seem to be holding here. We haven't had a big change of market structure on the 4-hour, but we are holding support. And that at the moment is constructive. So thank you for watching. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers. Bye-bye.